I'm Alan, and for those of you that don't recognize me, I'm their youngest child, only son, and favorite. So, we're just, as a family, we're really grateful for you guys being here and celebrating Mom and Dad with us. And yeah, this is just a lot of fun to have this party here. And so we've invited people to write down some of the well wishes for Mom and Dad, fond memories that they've had over the years with them. And so some people have done that. They don't all have names on them, and so it's a little bit cryptic to see who's been writing what. But we did write some of even Mom and Dad's contacts in the hardware world and reach out to them and see if they had any well wishes or words to share about Tom and Marlene, working with them over the years. First one we got is from Tom Knight at Johnson Supply. 3 words to describe Tom and Marlene McDonald over the years: professional, enlightening, and fun. I guess those all make sense. Thank you for the many years of working together in the business that we all love. It is truly a pleasure. We will certainly miss you, but wish you the best in your retirement. Also, we've got a whole stack of papers here to sort through. Got another couple here. Look at this one first. This one from Jeff Thompson. My name is Jeff Thompson. I work at Johnson Supply in Waterloo. We are a supplier of heating, cooling related items. I've known Tom and Marlene since they started working at Johnstone in 2001. Tom and Marlene have always been great people to work with. They are both extremely pleasant and patient, and when they call with orders or questions, and they do an awesome job providing the necessary details needed to provide an answer or product. That always means a lot to me because I'm somewhat an impatient person. I don't know whether you guys want to confirm that or... There have been many times that Tom has picked up parts and equipment that I've taken home for him. I'm sure my neighbors wondered what kind of transaction was taking place as Tom and I would slide a furnace or air conditioner from a box in my truck to his while parked in the street in the dark. One of those evenings, Marlene was along, and along with my wife, we all ended up eating dinner in our backyard screen porch, swapping stories and laughing like we'd all known each other for years. Tom has been a regular at our continuing education training classes, and I have always been impressed by how he seems to never want to stop learning. We received a special invitation to their business anniversary celebration a few years ago. It was neat to be a part of the event and to learn about the history of their business. I thoroughly enjoyed looking around their store and all the products that they offer. I do not know a lot about their family, but I know they are very involved with their kids and grandkids, and that's impressive. Plain and simple, Tom and Marlene are just good people. We have another one here, and this one's from Stephen Drager. And so he is the president and CEO of United Hardware, which is the supplier for not just New Providence Hardware, but any Hanks Hardware that you see along the road. They have thousands of hardware stores across the U.S., and for him to take the time to write a personal message for Tom and Marlene, that's really a nice gesture on his part. But from my perspective, the true measure of a successful hardware store is the value it provides to the community it serves, and that success or failure is determined by the individuals running the business. Oftentimes I will see decisions made that are not always beneficial economically to the store's owner, but are what is needed at the time by the community. From my perspective, it is a sign of an individual who have greater understanding of life and the great blessings one finds in serving others. Tom and Marlene are shining examples of those who get it and all of us who have had the pleasure of doing business with them, and more importantly, getting to know them, are better off because of it. So I put together a little bit of a timeline of some of the events because, for instance, myself was not around for the entire 42 years that they've owned the hardware store. And so I've kind of scratched together through the history and put together a little bit of a timeline to point out some of the events in the hardware store history. September 1975, after living in New Providence a few short years, Tom McDonald had the opportunity to buy a 50% stake and take ownership of the local hardware store on the corner of Main and Main. Location is important for any business, and Tom recognized that this was the only place in town where cars are legally obligated to stop. May of 1976, realizing that running the hardware store was too much work for one man, Tom enlisted the help of his longtime sweetheart, Marlene. Tom offered Marlene his hand in marriage, and Marlene agreed to love him, honor him, and cut and thread pipe. 1979, Tom and Marlene buy the remaining shares of the hardware, becoming full owners. Marlene saw the potential in marketing the store as a mom and pop store. In December, they gave birth to their first daughter, Elaine. In her first executive decision, Marlene gave herself 9 years maternity leave. 1981, tired of his commute from the skirted modular, it was a trailer, on the farm, Tom and Marlene purchased Doc Mabey's old house in downtown New Providence. Here's an important one. September 30th, 1982, after years of careful planning, Tom purchased a Ditch Witch 2200 trencher. This trencher could dig 180 feet of trench in an hour, eliminating the back-breaking labor of manual trench digging. This was more than just a machine for Tom. This was a game changer. Also on this day, their second daughter, Laura, was born. There she is. And we don't know where the Ditch Witch is. February 1985, Tom and Marlene give birth to a son. And by the age of 4, he was helping Tom on service calls, working all day for a Snickers and a can of root beer. However, when he came of age, he decided that he'd rather move to a place without plumbing at all than to become a plumber himself. In 2003, the building restoration, Tom and Marlene removed the false ceilings, insulation, and wood panels covering the front windows in the front. They spent countless evenings and weekends restoring the tin ceilings and brick walls. The general consensus is that Tom must be crazy, because without the false ceilings, the heating cost is going to go through the roof. June of 2013, New Providence Hardware celebrates 150 years of business. Tom and Marlene are caught up in a whirlwind of publicity, appearing in multiple newspapers and even a visit from Governor Branstad. Fortunately, Tom has Marlene to keep him grounded and keep all this attention from going to his head. 2016, after years of paperwork and bureaucratic hoop jumping, Marlene was successful in getting the buildings on Main Street listed on the National Historic Register. Their insurance company recognizes her efforts by informing her that the hardware is now uninsurable because it's listed as a historical building. January 2018, Tom and Marlene hand over the keys to Ben and Vicki Speck. And for the first time in a very long time, name name tags are actually kind of helpful. So that brings us to today, just celebrating 42 years of business and service to the community. And so we're here to thank both of you. And just a few more words. For 42 years, Tom's business model has been the same. Look out.
Oh, just Marlene.
Anyway, for 42 years, Tom's business model has been the same. Show up early, go the extra mile, and pay your bills. It runs contrary to the advice of most MBA programs that teach you to minimize investment, maximize margins, and pay yourself first. But for Tom and Marlene, this has never been about creating an empire. It's about serving the need of the community. When I was growing up, the sign in front of the hardware store stated, "Trustworthy Hardware." While I know that was just a name that had to do more with the distributors and where the inventory came from, it was a name that Dad took to heart. For him, it meant having the front door unlocked at 7:30 when the store doesn't open until 8, just in case someone needed something a little early. It's a good thing too. One day he walked into the store and answered the phone that was ringing, and the person on the other end said, "Are you open or are you just there?" Stopped for a minute and he said, "Well, yeah, come on in, and if you need something, we'll get it for you." A minute later, someone burst through the door, came marching down the center aisle, headed into the back room, grabbed a roll of toilet paper, threw the money on the counter, and walked out the door. We'll set those there. This also meant most Christmases were interrupted by phone calls from someone's furnace who wasn't working. Many late nights where he'd leave the house at 9 o'clock to get someone's furnace going through the night. This is the way of business led to a level of trust in the community that's virtually unheard of these days. For a long time, Dad had a collection of spare keys people had given him to their houses. Claire Wilson was one of those people. In fact, she'd give him the whole key ring. With the house, the car, who knows what else. And someone had bought a car from her and came into the hardware store to make a duplicate key. And Tom said, "Actually, I already have a duplicate key." Handed it to him and free of charge. Tom has never needed GPS to find a house. Driving around gravel roads, he could point to every house along the way and not just tell you who lives there, but tell you who has lived there for the last 50 years. New customers would call and say, "I just bought the house in the country," and they try to give directions and an address, but Tom would just ask, "Who did you buy the house from?" and be on his way. Watching him work over the years has taught me some of the most important lessons I've learned in life. That anything worth doing is worth doing right. Tom didn't cut corners or take it the easy way out. He worked on every job as if he was doing it to his own home. Working in basements, attics, and cluttered crawl spaces, he often left his work area cleaner than when he found it. He also taught me, drive as if your name is on the side of your truck. Tom has always been conscious that in a small town, people are always watching. That's why when you see that iconic blue truck on the highway, you're likely to be greeted with a smile and that recognizable peace sign as you drive by. Express appreciation. Over the years, Tom has noticed a change in the public lexicon. When he started at the hardware, the phrase "thank you" was always met with "you're welcome." As years went by, it became more casual, "no problem," and eventually, "Yep." In Wisconsin, where my wife is from, it's "you betcha." But Tom recognized that work itself is a blessing, and it's important to acknowledge that. So when customers would say thank him for his work, he often responded with a smile and said, It was my pleasure. Tom has made some good decisions over the years, but I think we can all agree that the smartest thing he ever did was marry Marlene. With her teaching degree and love of music, she may seem like an unlikely fit for the hardware, but those who know Marlene know that without her, the hardware wouldn't exist. In the hardware, she pretty much did it all, from bookwork to inventory, helping customers find the exact part they need for their electric fence or hog fountain. But for her, the hardware wasn't just a business to run, it's been her ministry. It's been her way to be a blessing in the community. She's served on more committees than can be named, become a fierce advocate for the town, a center of information on community events, someone to talk to, a shoulder to cry on during tough times. She's patiently helped everyone who walked through the hardware, whether or not their needs were hardware related. Tom has often suggested that she start answering the phone by saying, "New Providence Hardware, mental health and directory services." With her patience, love, and strength, the hardware has become much more than a retail location. It's become the heart of New Providence. I was listening to the radio yesterday and heard someone describe their hometown as the kind of place where you get out what you put in. I couldn't help but think of New Providence when I heard this. In many ways, I see New Providence as a reflection of the love and energy that you've put into it, and so many others. You've been a great blessing here, and in return, our family has been very blessed to call this place home. So we're taking some time to celebrate today and count our blessings. We're all incredibly happy for you and excited for this next chapter in your lives. After 42 years of working 6 days a week, with all you've given to the community, I'm reminded of the old Scottish proverb passed down through the McDonald family. You deserve a break today. We know in our hearts that it's a good thing for you and the community. The next generations of leaders are building on the foundation that you've helped lay, and the future looks bright. So for all these things, and more than we can possibly mention, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and read through a few of these. If I read... Uh-oh. Did I turn off the volume? I did. So I'll read through a few of these. And go ahead and raise your hand if you dare. Marlene and Tom, thank you for being a part of this wonderful community that welcomed Marty and I to New Providence. Denise and Marty Lyon. I will miss seeing you guys when I go by Pop. I'll miss Tom's jokes. I don't know if someone wants to take credit for that one. I don't see a signature. We celebrate you, Tom and Marlene, for all the love, devotion, leadership, and help you've given to this community. May God continue to use you in countless abilities wherever He leads. Ken and Evelyn. It proved to be a dangerous thing to give Tom access to your house. One winter evening, we arrived home and eventually found the need to use the restroom. I didn't remember leaving the shower curtain partially open, and when I went to shut it, I was shocked to find a nude woman in the shower. A life-size, shapely snow woman. Tom, and perhaps Marlene, would have to explain how that snow arrived in our bathroom, but it wasn't hard to figure out who the sculptor was. Does anyone want to take credit for that? Or Dad, do you want to take credit for that? Tom, you You mean to tell me you would run into church with the bear behind? That's a joke that we'll have to take some explaining. You'll have to talk to Tom about that one. For plumbing and intellectual stimulation, seek out Tom. We will never find someone who can fit in our broom closet now. And who's going to show us the mongoose or sell dehydrated water? Marlene, if Marlene doesn't have it, then you don't need it. We will always call the store Marlene's. Dan was fond of finding out how many things Marlene had that we needed on the farm. Thanks for your resourcefulness. Fire safes to dissolve it, paint to humidifiers. Had it all. There's a quote that says, "All it takes to change someone's life forever is an act of compassion at a time of desperate need, or a word of hope to someone who's lost." That's what Jesus did. In 1985, after our son's tragic death, Tom and Marlene nightly invited us into their home after Elaine, Laura, and Alan were put to bed. For an entire year, they worked during the day and helped us grieve at night. Over bowls of ice cream and through tears and laughter, they journeyed with us. Their incredible act of compassion at a time of desperate need forever changed us. Dan. It has been great to get to know you both. I hope to get caught up on the knowledge of every part that goes with what? Hark, who goes there? May love and blessing follow you wherever you go through your time. Take care. Happy retirement. Thanks, Beck. Well, let's continue celebrating. Tom and Marlene are here. Greet them, thank them, celebrate with us, have some ice cream. I don't think we're in danger of running out, but it looks like Arlen has some more to this short program.
A group of people got together to help organize this. Won't name names, but we wanted to give you something memorable because you gave us great memories yourselves. So, why don't you unveil? And hopefully this enhances the timeless memories. Hopefully it's upstairs. So, thank you so much. Blessings to you.
I don't think I'm supposed to say this. How many of you have been to the funeral and about halfway through you wonder if you're in the wrong place? Nice thing. Sure. But as Marlene and I have reflected on this, we're only two of many in this community. And I stipulate the word community because it's not just a small town. This is a community of people that extends beyond the corporate limits of New Providence proper. It involves a lot of people here in the South Hardin area. And to that point, the number of people that have rallied together to provide this day is with a deep sense of appreciation. Thank you for that. But this facility that we're in, this has been going on for over 25 years. The renewal community, the maintenance of this building, when you look at the breakfast, the Halloween carnival, tons of volunteers that make this happen. And then as you step outside, you see the Veterans Memorial, and you realize the countless hours, the volunteer hours, the labor of love that those individuals put into that, and then the fundraising that is a part of that. And then when you head down the street, you see a sign that says Heritage Park. And you realize that there's this umbrella over group called New Providence Pride and Progress that implemented a visioning process, and today we have an enhanced park. But there was a lot of hours of volunteer hours, grant writing, fundraising, and then physical labor that went into putting that park together to make our community a better place. Then when you get up to the corner in the summertime and you see the flowers and you realize there's a beautification committee here in town that also meets to order the flowers, to bring those to town, to replant them, take care of them, and then put them out, which truly makes New Providence become a destination in the summertime for many people. I don't know how many times we've heard people will reroute themselves in the summertime to come through New Providence just to see the flowers. So it's a tremendous enhancement with those volunteers. The Monday morning breakfast, it's just an incredible, you won't find a finer event anywhere than what we have in New Providence with the Monday morning breakfast. And that core of volunteers that has been doing that with such grace over the years, and the goodwill and the money raised and spread around has been tremendous. Continue on down the street at the Township Hall, we have a tremendous group of volunteer fire department. That's become a little trickier with certifications, with the equipment, but you have a committed group there also. And our city council has been very proactive and promotional in town. We've got good leadership. And then around the corner to the church, and of course the church runs on volunteers too. Marlene and I are blessed to have been a part of this community. It's a great place to raise our family. We don't take it for granted. We will remain forever grateful that we were able to be two of many. So thank you for that. If you didn't see last Sunday's Des Moines Register, you missed a tremendous story. New Providence, the future looks great. We got a strong history, a good foundation, but we've got a great future in front of us. We've got a new crop of leaders that want to lead, they're going to lead, and they're going to be successful. And I'm anxious to watch and cheer them on. So thank you for this day. The future looks bright.
On behalf of the City Council, we'd like to thank Tom and Marlene. I don't know how many times I've gone in the store, maybe 3 times, looking for a gizmo or something. Marlene knows what I need. Tom has been so helpful in our community, in our town. Whenever we need him to fix something, he's there. We're going to really miss both of them. We just wish the best for you, and blessings to you, and we love you guys.
So I believe with that we can turn off the speakers and continue the celebration. There's plenty of ice cream, plenty of toppings, and enjoy. Thank you.